Rivers don't just vanish. Gravity won't allow it. Geology shouldn't allow it. And yet, across the world, there are places where rivers drop into the ground, leave no visible outlet, and seem to break the basic rules of how water should behave. If water can't disappear, where do these rivers actually go? One of the clearest places to see this happen is here in the northern United States. The rock here is rhyolite, formed from lava flows more than 1 billion years ago. And it's this steep, fractured geology that sets the stage for what happens next. But at one point, Devil's Kettle Falls, the rhyolite pinches into a hard knuckle of rock. The river splits around a resistant outcrop. Under normal conditions, a river shaped by terrain like this would behave predictably. But at one specific point along its course, those rules suddenly stop applying. Locals call the Devil's Kettle, a cylindrical pothole carved by swirling rocks and sediment, at least 10 feet deep, probably deeper, and then it's gone. The water plunges into darkness and simply disappears from view. In the 1960s, researchers threw logs into the kettle. They never surfaced downstream. They checked every accessible point between the falls and Lake Superior. Nothing. In the 1980s, they tried ping pong balls, lightweight, floatable, easy to track. Hundreds of them vanished. They poured colored dye into the kettle, expecting it to show up somewhere downstream, maybe in Lake Superior itself. It didn't. Every experiment failed. Here's why this shouldn't be possible. Rhyolite doesn't form lava tubes like basalt does. The underlying bedrock is too deep and the wrong composition for large caverns. There are no known faults or fracture zones in the area that could drain half a river. The geology doesn't support it. So if the water isn't going through the rock in some massive underground channel, where is it going? From the surface, the water simply disappears, and once people noticed that, the obvious question became impossible to ignore. The problem is access. You can't measure what you can't reach. Devil's Kettle sits in Judge C.R. Magny State Park, accessible only by a steep, mile-long trail. By the time hydrologists haul equipment to the falls, conditions change. High water in spring, low water in late summer, ice in winter. For decades, the falls remained a local legend because no one could bring proper flow measurement equipment in consistently. The theories multiplied. Some thought the water traveled 14 miles underground to emerge in Lake Superior through submerged vaults. Others believed it dropped into a massive cavern system, too deep to detect with surface methods. A few scientists suspected it simply rejoined the main river right below the falls, but couldn't prove it without direct observation or measurement. Every theory had problems. The underground lake theory required cavern systems that shouldn't exist in rhyolite. The immediate rejoin theory couldn't explain why dye never appeared downstream. The mystery deepened with every failed experiment. In 2016, Minnesota's Department of Natural Resources decided to try something no one had thought of. Forget the mystery hole, just measure the river. After decades of chasing the hole itself, one group of scientists tried a different approach. They stopped asking where the water went and asked whether it ever left at all. Hydrologist Jeff Green had a simple idea. If water's actually disappearing from the system, the flow below the falls should be measurably less than the flow above. It's basic conservation of mass. Water in should equal water out, unless something is removing it from the system. In late fall 2016, when water levels were low enough to get accurate readings, his team measured the Brules flow 200 feet upstream of the falls, 123 cubic feet per second. Then they hiked downstream and measured several hundred feet below the falls, 121 cubic feet per second. In hydrology, those numbers are identical, within margin of error. Accounting for normal measurement uncertainty, the flow rates matched. The water wasn't disappearing, it was all accounted for downstream. Every drop that went into the Devil's Kettle was coming back out somewhere before their downstream measurement point. Green's theory, the water drops into the kettle, immediately flows through underwater cracks and crevices in the fractured rhyolite, and rejoins the main river within seconds or meters, probably creating those two boiling upwelling zones visible at the base of the falls where the flows converge. So the mystery is solved, right? On paper, it should have been. But it didn't, because the measurements answered one question while leaving another unresolved. The idea that water travels miles underground to Lake Superior? The flow numbers disprove it. If water left the system, you'd see a measurable drop in downstream flow. You don't. That theory is dead. Green's theory fits the data perfectly. Water drops in, flows through cracks in the fractured bedrock, rejoins right below. But here's the problem. No one has traced the exact path. Dye tests planned for low water conditions have been inconclusive. The recirculating currents at the base of any major waterfall act like a blender, destroying dye tracers, smashing objects, creating chaotic turbulence that makes direct observation nearly impossible. Some geologists now argue locals overestimated the disappearance because they were looking for dramatic outcomes, secret rivers, hidden lakes. If the water just goes 20 feet underground through fractured rock and pops back up, that's not a mystery, it's just turbulent hydraulics and geology working exactly as expected. If it was so simple, why did it take 100 years? Access was limited, equipment was hard to move, seasons kept changing. Turbulence shredded tracers and made direct observation impossible. And the scale was tiny. The water vanished over just a few meters of fractured rock. Simple in theory, nearly impossible to prove in practice. The answer might not be where does the water go, but why did we think it went anywhere special? And Devil's Kettle isn't the only river that seems to break the rules of surface hydrology. In the Dinaric Alps, the Trebišnica River disappears into sinkholes in Bosnia and reemerges about 20 kilometers away near Dubrovnik, Croatia. That's not turbulence or fractured bedrock. That's a river flowing through massive limestone cave systems carved by chemical dissolution over millions of years. This is true karst hydrology, where acidic water dissolves soluble rock, creating underground rivers, chambers, and passages. Here the mechanism is known and well documented, but the exact paths still being mapped by cave divers navigating underground channels that shift and change with every major flood season. New passages open, old ones collapse. The underground network is constantly evolving. And then there's the Ghaggar Hakra in northwest India and Pakistan. From space, you can see the scar of a river that hasn't flowed in 4,000 years. This was once a major river system. The Paleo Channel stretches over several hundred kilometers that supported the Indus Valley Civilization, one of the great Bronze Age cultures. Around 4,000 years ago, tectonic shifts in the Himalayas and changes in monsoon patterns disrupted the river's source. As the river system weakened and eventually dried up, the civilization gradually declined, with people migrating away from urban centers towards the Ganges and other more reliable water sources. Scientists are still debating exactly when this happened. Rivers disappear for three reasons. They flow underground through permeable or fractured rock, they get diverted by terrain shifts and tectonic changes, or climate changes rob them of their source. As climate patterns shift and water demand grows globally, understanding how rivers behave, even when they seem to vanish, becomes critical. So which type of disappearance matters most? The optical illusion we can see but can't explain, the underground journey we know exists but can't fully map, or the ancient ghosts whose story we're still piecing together from satellite images, archaeological ruins, and geological evidence?